Place a $1 wager on the Pelicans-Clippers game, and if either team hits a 3, you win $100. All you have to do is sign up and make your first bet with bonus code VEASAN100 to take advantage of this special offer. There's never been a summer like this before, and there's never been a better time to sign up at BetMGM Sports. Download the BetMGM app today and use promo code VEASAN100 to win $100 in free bets when you bet $1 on the Pelicans-Clippers game, and if either team hits a 3, that's right, just 1-3, you win that bet. Visit BetMGM for terms and conditions. Must be 21 or older or physically located in Colorado and Indiana, New Jersey, Nevada, or West Virginia. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado and Nevada, 1-800-GAMBLER in New Jersey and West Virginia, or 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. Promotional offer not available in Nevada. All right, wrapping up a Saturday edition of the Lombardi Line here on VEASAN, the Sports Betting Network. Remember, the Lombardi Line back in action 7 days a week here on the weekend, 7 to 9 Pacific time and 10 to noon over on the East Coast. And speaking of the East Coast, we're going to talk with Thomas Gable, Director of Race and Sports over at Borgata. Thomas, thanks for joining the show. How are you doing this Saturday?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm doing well. Nice to hear you, Danny.
It's good to have you back, Thomas. It's good to have you back. How are things over there? Tell us a little bit about the setup at the Borgata. How's it going?
Well, we've only been open about a week now. We opened to the public last Sunday. We were the last casino in Atlantic City to open. But it's been really good since we've been open. We've taken a lot of action. Baseball has been really strong. That first 3 full days of the season there, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, last week, in terms of handle on Major League Baseball, we did in those 3 days what we would typically do in about 3 weeks. So the handle's just been really great with baseball. We've taken some really big wagers, and it's continued. The big wagers have continued. Yesterday, took it on the chin a little bit with the NBA, and this is why it's important to listen to VEASAN, because yesterday, if you heard Gil Alexander, Gil was saying don't overreact to the unders coming in on the 2 Thursday night games. And the Borgata customers must have listened to him very well, because they were pounding the overs, and the overs, of course, went 6-0 last night. Yesterday in the NBA, and we did take it on the chin in the NBA.
And speaking of the NBA, we have another great slate today, and you talk about the overs and unders and the totals and how big of a discrepancy we've seen really with all the totals going over yesterday. How do you guys adjust from that from your side of the counter? How do you really attack that when the book gets beat in that regard? And where have you seen all that action going toward today?
Well, we've obviously had we've increased the totals here. Every game has increased. The 76ers, from where we opened it at 211.5, they're now up to 216.5. I'm sorry, 219.5. So that's increased 8 points since we opened the line. The Lakers game, we opened that at 214 for the total. That's now at 222. So the adjustments are coming. We're making the adjustments. I'll tell you, we did take one really large bet just this morning, actually on the Jazz, getting 2 points. $155,000 came in on the Jazz, getting 2 points. So that's now Thunder laying 1.5.
Wow. So you got 155 on the Jazz. Is that because you think Chris Paul's not playing tonight, or do you think Chris Paul will play?
Well, I know it's a game time decision, I think, for that, unless that particular customer knows something that we don't. I mean, I think it's up in the air still at this point.
We were talking earlier about Toronto being a popular pick with the books. Josh Applebaum was talking about it. Where are you on the Toronto Laker game that for 8:30 tonight?
Yeah, Lakers are laying 2.5 points in that. That's down from the opener 3.5. A little bit more money on the Lakers overall, and again, the over though is the popular play in that game.
Thomas Gable, Director of Race and Sports at the Borgata, with us here on the Lombardi Line, going over the handle from the past week and today here on Saturday, and looking forward to the rest of the weekend. Thomas, I want to ask you about baseball really quick. Not great news really surrounding around Major League Baseball right now. And some things that have altered, or at least going to, assuming they keep playing, is the games changing from the full 9 innings to double headers being 7 innings. How are you guys ready to embrace that aspect of things? And even just from a future standpoint, how are you going to handle a team like the Marlins, the Cardinals, being not present right now, and who knows what's going to happen in the long term of the season? But how are you guys really preparing for all these unprecedented events occurring?
Yeah, a lot of these things, Danny, are really done on the fly now. With it almost seems like Major League Baseball as a whole was operating on the fly. But we just adjusted our house rules yesterday. We submitted them to the regulators to take into account for the 7-inning games, that the doubleheaders will be played for 7 innings. So I mean, it's constantly adjusting to things as they happen. It's like you said, it's so unpredictable right now. Baseball, I'm hoping obviously things can get better for them, but it's going to be really tough, I think, for them to get through the entire season.
Hey, Thomas, today in baseball, what's your biggest play so far? What game seems to have the most interest from the bettors at the Borgata?
The Reds right now. The Reds are taking a lot of money. Obviously, they were a team that got a lot of future book money even before the shutdown. People were betting the Reds in the future market, and they've continued to bet the Reds day to day since the season has started. But they're certainly a heavy favorite today against the Tigers. Right now we have the Reds at -175, but they're taking all the money in that game.
And before we move on to hockey really quick, Thomas, another factor that's been unique in this baseball season has been the extra innings rule with the runner starting on second. Despite that, we've seen a lot of teams not utilize bunting and getting the runner over. But it's really a factor that's impacting some of these totals. How have you seen that affect some of these bettors, and how does it affect you guys behind the counter and where you set these totals?
Sure. I mean, that's another great point there, Danny. And I think some bettors who maybe weren't necessarily paying too close attention, I think got burned a little bit with that in the early going. Didn't really know about that rule change if they weren't paying too close of attention. But it's definitely a factor when you're setting the totals, and if you're betting the totals. Listen, that there's going to be some runs there with runners starting on second base, no doubt.
All right, let's shift over to hockey, Thomas. I mean, first of all, what's your liability for a futures ticket if there is one? What do you have any liability for a future ticket? And then where are you on today's games?
Well, no surprise if I tell you that the 2 New York teams and the Philadelphia team is where the liability lies on the Stanley Cup for us. I mean, that's normal in Atlantic City. You get the New York teams and the Philadelphia teams bet heavily in the futures. So the Rangers, Islanders, and Flyers, that's where our liability is. And today the Rangers are actually taking some decent money as well. We have them at +110 right now on the money line against the Hurricanes. So that really seems to be where the action is. I mean, they're obviously the first game here, but of the day, but we're taking decent action on that already.
Thomas Gable, Director of Race and Sports here at the Borgata. Thomas, before we let you go here, at the end of this weekend, you guys are going to be sitting back looking at the handle. What do you think the conversation is going to be?
Do we have to keep increasing the totals for NBA? I think that's going to be the main conversation. We'll have to see what today brings with if there's any defense played here today in the NBA. But
Thomas, you must not have watched those. You must not have watched the exhibition games. There was no defense whatsoever in those games. I mean, guys are getting to the rim like it's nobody's business. It looked like I swear I thought it was like a game that you would watch on some corner. It was unbelievable. I mean, I don't think you could set the numbers high enough.
Yeah, and that's one thing you also have to consider too with the no fans. I mean, the home teams, when there are fans, will always be energized to play defense when they need a defensive stand. They get that that extra burst there from the fans, and that doesn't exist right now. So it's pretty lackadaisical yesterday as far as on the defensive side.
All right, great stuff. Thomas Gable, Director of Race and Sports over at Borgata on the East Coast. Thomas, as always, appreciate the time. We'll look forward to talking again soon.
Thank you, Thomas.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a great day.
All right, you bet. You as well. Danny Burke, Michael Lombardi finishing out a great Saturday edition of the Lombardi Line here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Michael, before we close out here, we've gone over the NBA, MLB, NHL. What's making the top of your list for this Saturday?
Well, my fat butt's going to sit down at 7 o'clock, and I'm going to watch that 76ers team with great intentions. And I'll either be really, I'm not going to tweet anything because I took Twitter off my phone, but I'm going to watch that and see what that means. Because as I watch this, I mean, they're one of the few teams that actually were playing defense, So we'll see where this leads us down and see how serious they take these 8 games as we go forward into the playoffs, because they are the thorn in my side, and they'll always be.
How many three-point attempts are we going to get from Ben Simmons tonight?
I think we'll get 2, but I think Chubby will shoot 4.
Who's going to make more?
Simmons.
Okay, all right. Fading Chubby is what Michael's doing tonight when it comes beyond the arc. Michael, great stuff as always at M. Lombardi NFL. Michael, we'll do it again tomorrow and Monday throughout the rest of the week.
You,
great analysis on the NFL, NBA, and more. Enjoy watching sports all over the place on this Saturday, Michael.
Thank you, Danny. Best to you, too. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, you bet. Sounds like a plan. Big thanks to Josh Applebaum for joining us as well in the first hour, second hour. Thomas Gable, who we just had on. Great report from over at Borgata. Mike Palm as well. Great analysis all over. Great stuff from the crew downstairs. Big thanks to Stephanie Frenier behind the scenes. We'll catch you tomorrow, returning once again 7 to 9 Pacific time here on the Lombardi Line on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.